Early. So here are my first book of out of three that I picked. So how girls are made of. So pretty much this book is about three young teenage girls. They're just trying to figure out life. They're trying to figure out things that's going on. They are in high school. I'm pretty concerned they are close to juniors or seniors, pretty much about to graduate. All three of them have different personalities, different stories. So I like how this book broke down all three different of these young ladies. One is called Fallon, the other one is called Shelby, and the other one is called Joby. So there's three ladies. During reading this book, it's like a flashback. It's like they're going in and out of being at a funeral. So one of the girls out of the three had died at the end of this book, which makes it even more suspense, a lot of more thriller, a lot of fulfilling drama. So what I have done, I made a couple of notes to make sure I won't forget. I like to make notes when I read books. Don't judge me. So, one thing I noticed about Fallon is like a fixer. She loves to be able to fix everything. She's more of like a perfectionist. She have parents that she wants to impress, so she doesn't want to be on social media. She doesn't do all of that. She keeps her grades to the top, highest T, because she wants to get into the colleges. She's more of the girl who looks like she got everything together, and she's very worried about what other people think of her. She's more like I said, a fixer. She wants to fix everybody. So Fallon had an idea to form a sex education club, which is very interesting. She had a lot of her peers is coming to her with weird, crazy stories about their sexual lifestyles, and she noticed that most of these girls that comes to her are very uneducated when it comes down to sex. And she wants to start a group. She started a social media of it to get more girls in of basically of what they're in the group to talk about sex education. And what I noticed is that when she's forming this group and started making a social media, she wants to make sure her identity is not out, because her parents doesn't approve social media. So she wants to prove to her parents she wants to be this good cookie. She's like one of those girls in high school that always have their hand raised, like one of the teacher's pets, most of those, if that makes sense. Fallon is definitely one of those girls. What I like about her is that she's very determined. She has a big heart, and she's a girl's girl. She really loves to help, which shows the next character, Shelby. Shelby is an MMA fighter. She's a social media influencer, pretty much blonde hair, blue eyes. All the guys kind of want her. She's very tough. In the beginning of the book, it shows that she had an abusive scuffle with her ex-boyfriend. Her ex-boyfriend punched her in the face. She has black eyes, a busted nose. At the beginning and all the way kind of like to the middle of the book, Shelby was a little in denial with the abuse. She was like, well, I'm an MMA fighter, so I get punched in the face all the time. She didn't think it was a big deal until she ended up going to a group around people, well, not just people, around other women who have experienced abuse from their partners. And I remember a character out of the book told her, hey, it's not normal for you to get hurt by your peers, somebody that you love. And I feel like with Shelby, she just in denial. She didn't really accept the fact that she didn't want to accept the fact that she was actually being abused, or she was in an abusive relationship, because she's an MMA fighter. And violence is basically in her blood. She's been fighting since she was born. Shelby also meets a new guy. He seems very perfect. She checks all everything on her list. He makes her feel really good. His name is Baxter, if I'm not mistaken. They call him Baxter. Baxter makes her feel really good about herself, but almost to the mid and throughout the book, it seems like he started off really, really good, and then he started to act a little weird where he wants to be controlling. He wants to control her and make her change herself a little bit, make her pretty much like narcissistic manipulation. So she ended up getting out of one out of one relationship and jump into another one. And let's just basically say, you know, during that situation, you know, she has a lot of boy problems during this time. Another character named Joby. So Joby is pretty much very insecure with herself. I'm not even going to say it pretty much. Like, she's really insecure with herself. She compares herself a lot to other girls on social media. She gets so down to the point where she will look at other girls' social media and look at their comments and see how boys give validation to them, and she wants that validation from boys so bad. She doesn't really get a lot of attention from boys, so she wants that validation. She goes on social media, she have this fake persona. This helps her basically cope and make her feel better about herself. She definitely wants to get plastic surgery. She wants to change herself because she wants that male validation, and she also want to make money off of it to get the plastic surgery. So pretty much she gets the attention that she wants social media. She basically cares about how many followers she has. She cares about the comments. She cares about her angle. She cares about everything on social media. That's her personality. She compares herself so much to the point where she have to compare herself to her mom. Her mom is a very good looking person, and she gets a lot of attention, and she even, you know, almost kind of envy her mom because her mom gets more validation. It's kind of sad to see that this young girl is really tearing herself apart just to get male validation. And yeah, that's pretty much it when it comes down to this book. So this book is a black romance. What I like about this book is it is kind of like a spin-off from one of the famous romances, I think in the late 90s or early 2000s, Love and Basketball. That's one of the biggest black romance in basically in the black community. So what I like about this book is that it's kind of a spin-off, but it also makes it into that generation. So a movie from back then into now, spinning off to this generation, is definitely a really good interest in this book. That's kind of what really interests me in this book, because well, that's one of the biggest romance in the black community. So Playin Hard, this book definitely gives a new version of it, and that's what gets young people in this generation interest into this book. So let's just start off by saying that this book is pretty much like enemies to lovers, and I really like the enemies to lovers sitcom. I like that both of these characters ended up having a debate in class. They both was very interested in each other, and then one of the characters kind of lost interest because of the debate that they had. So the girl is Cree Jacobs and the boy is named DeAndre. So let's start off by Cree Jacobs. Cree Jacobs is more of a very smart, pro-black. She's very good with feminist. You could say she's a feminist. She hates the group of friends that DeAndre hangs with. DeAndre hangs with the ballers. That's what they call themselves, the players. She thinks that DeAndre is different from them. She really actually has a crush on him at first, until once they had that debate. And then ever since they had a debate, that's basically been like her op. And I think it's very interesting. A thing about Cree Jacobs is she definitely grew up without a mother. Her mother passed away. She has a stepmom. She don't really like her stepmom that much. She has a good relationship with her dad, but she feel like her stepmom is taking over. Yes, Cree Jacob has friends. Cree Jacobs also is like, she doesn't really fit with the crowd. She's more of to herself. She doesn't really fit in a lot. So she's more of a person that stay in her own lane, do her own thing. So the other character, DeAndre kind of has similar. He didn't grow up with a mom too much. He actually always had his dad in the household. His dad is an ex NBA player. So like every day at 5 o'clock in the morning, they all work out, because working out is discipline in his family. He actually has a different type of how can I say, perspective when it comes down to women. I like that he definitely sees women as equal. He feels like women could do the same thing as men do. He feels that women deserves equal rights. He's definitely a type of the sweet guy, like, hey, I feel like we should treat women more. And I feel like that's what kind of Cree Jacob sees in him. She's just a little bit, her ego. She's very egotistic, and she loves to be correct. and she's very argumentative when it comes down to society and want to have a debate. So that's kind of like she sees the good in him, but she also still feels like he's just as much of a player as his friends. And what's so interesting with him and his friends, see, with the boy perspective is a lot of these girls feel like they want to find love, but in the boy perspective in high school, these boys is just in high school. They don't really care about love. They're just trying to have fun. And that's the difference between the male version and the female version. There's actually another reason why I selected this book as well, because I wanted to get a book where there are women perspectives, but I also want to get a young male perspective as well. And I like that they have two sides of their stories, two sides of the coin, and they also have some similarities as well. What I will also say is that, let's look into my notes. I also realized when I was reading this book, I was shocked on how grown these teenagers are. I mean, they are using fake IDs, they going to bars, they're sleeping over, there are drugs involved. But I do have to understand this. I feel like this is also a good book to read for Black community kids, especially in where I live in the city of New Orleans. Unfortunately, the way... And now that I think about it, as a teenager, I did grow up fast. And now that I think about it, when I look at these teenagers now in the city of New Orleans, they are growing up fast. So it is pretty kind of almost to the norm where most of these kids do go to the club. Most of these kids do have fake IDs. Most of these kids do alcohol and drugs on a daily basis. That's why I love how this book and the books that I chose, of course, my other three books that I chose are more realistic. And it also shows what is going on in the in society today. Of course, you know what I like about Cree Jacobs' character is that she's basically not really alcohol, drugs, you know, you have to be hip and cool if you do those things, and that's just not really Cree, you know, that's not her thing. And I love that this character is just showing that it's okay, you don't have to be under the influence to have a good time. And I feel like that's what's really going on with society today. This book is just not trying to be inappropriate or trying to push anything on kids. It's basically like showing them a reflection. Okay, I already do this already. So maybe it gives kids or teenagers who do this on a daily basis a reflection like, man, do I really supposed to be doing this? Or is this a good idea? You know, it also gives them a reflection of who they really are. And I think this romance is definitely a more realistic. It's more showing what's going on in the Black community, and is definitely relatable to young Black kids, young Black teenagers. I would definitely say young Black teenagers and young Black young adults. They definitely can relate more with this novel. All right, so this book by Carolina Ixta, excuse me if I said the name wrong. I love that this book shows out for the Latina community. These are two young teenage girls. They are pretty much going through a lot in their own household. The main character named Playin, and she talks about her friend and what she's going through as well. Both of these girls are from East Oakland, California. Majority of this book are Latina, and there are some Black characters. So Playin is a young girl that is suffering from her mother's absence and her father's abandonment. So she hasn't been focusing on school that much, and she stopped attending classes. Her grades was going down. She actually likes to read though, which is very interesting. That what feels like she's losing her relationship with her mom because her mom is always at work. What's so ironic and interesting about this situation is that her mom is actually a school teacher. So the reason why her grades are just falling and she just decided that she just don't care about school, she don't care about college no more, I guess it's because of her, she's not getting the attention that she wants from her mother. Her mother has, I feel that while reading this book, her mother is definitely going through some sense of depression. She doesn't, it's not like they're poor. It's not like the mom can't do stuff. The mom actually has money. They are okay. They are, I would consider myself, there's them middle class. So it's just the fact that she just don't have time. She's always probably grading papers, probably always talking to parents. This woman is more focused on her students instead of her own child, basically. And it's a lot had to do with the her father as well. Her father used to leave in the middle of the night. He never I guess her mother and the father will argue all the time. So it pretty much seems that he was always absent, and it made her really depressed, and the mom just decided to focus more on schoolwork and keep up with the household due to her father's absence. So seeing that struggle of her mama, that makes her just feel like she just don't care about school. She doesn't really feel like it's important. She feels like since everything that's going on at home, she pretty much have a sense of school just probably not it for me. Nobody's not pushing me, so I don't really care for it. Another thing about Balin is that she is definitely a virgin. She have never had sex before, but she's very confused on why guys are not talking to her. This character kind of reminds me a little bit of that other book I talked about earlier with Joby. She wants male attention really bad. She feels that she's very pretty, which is the difference between Joby. Joby had low self-esteem, but with Balin, she thinks she's a good-looking person. She just don't understand why men don't want to talk to her. And she's basically more focused on trying to lose her virginity and get with a boy. Now, she has a friend, which is very interesting, named Letty. She is the smartest girl she ever known. She has straight A's. She likes to read. She really cares about her grades. She has top AP classes. She wants to go to Berkeley College. The crazy thing about her story is that she is pregnant. So about this girl that is pregnant, me personally reading this book, I low-key don't think the main character, Balin, likes her friend, because it's almost like when she starts talking about Letty, it's almost like she's trying to sound like she's not the best, like she's pretty much not as pleased with Letty. She's trying to figure out how Letty is pregnant and she has a boyfriend and she doesn't, because Letty, she compared herself with Letty. Letty is like very plain Jane. She doesn't really like to wear extravagant clothes and extravagant stuff due to her parents being extremely strict, which I'll talk about in a minute. She's always trying to compare herself with her friend, and it's very interesting. I feel like this friend Letty is almost like she don't really like her that much, almost give a very much jealousy vibe when I read this book. I don't really think Balin actually likes Letty that much, because when in the book she also stated that Letty is very smart but she make dumb decisions. Me personally, I think that's very rude to say that about your friend, but it probably possibly could be the truth, because she is pregnant. And to say about Letty's side is very interesting, because even though she's smart and she's pregnant, she has all these things going for herself. Her family is actually one of her biggest downfalls. So Letty, which is Balin's best friend, she deals with a lot going on with her dark skin. Her mom tells her a lot of weird racist things about her dark skin. Her family is super religious. Her mom even told Letty that she should not be around Balin. She thinks Balin is a bad friend, is a bad influence of her because of the way she dressed. Come to find out, Letty was the one that was pregnant and not her. I guess that made Balin feels very small about herself. Another thing I notice about Balin is that she is also misunderstood. She's misunderstood very much. She's trying to be understood by so many people, and a lot of people look down on her or look at her funny due to probably what the father done in the streets or in the past, or probably due to her mom, who made knows. But a lot of people look at this young lady differently, and I feel like that's why she looks at the world differently, and she just give off this vibe where she just feels like, man, nobody don't understand me, everybody hates me. But back to Letty and her story. So she's pregnant, and her parents are very racist when it comes down to dark skin. Letty does have a little more dark skin complexion. Yet the thing about Letty is that when she do that, even though she is pregnant and she has parents that are extremely religious, extremely strict, it was to the point where she had to tell somebody because she was overly getting big. She told her mom. Her mom did slap her once she found out, but her mom is keeping it a secret from her dad. Because what's interesting about Letty's dad is that Letty's dad is also kind of racist as well. Letty's dad likes to drink a lot, and when her dad drinks, he says a lot of bad things about black people. So Letty's dad is extremely racist. The big plot twist with this book is that you could say Letty's father of her child, her baby's dad, is a black male, and she does not want her black male boyfriend or black male baby dad to meet her family. Pretty much going to disown him and disown her. It's a lot of big things that Letty is going through, and it's pretty much she's just like she don't know what to do when she have this baby. And it seems like Letty not about to let a baby interfere with her academics. So she's still planning on going to college. She's still planning on following her dreams. She's still planning on being that person that she always wanted to be, even though she is pregnant. She's not about to let that pregnancy stop her. I think that, me personally, that is very it's really, really, really inspiring to see that, because most girls, when they think of pregnancy, they think, their lives will be all over. And especially what she's dealing with right now with her racist, pretty much her racist family is not going to accept the child or accept the child's baby father. So yeah, the child's father, because of who his race is and their darker complexion. Letty is still basically going to go to school. She tried to push Balin, I think I said her name wrong, but she's trying to push Balin to do better in school, but Balin just don't want to hear it. But what I also like about this character, Balin, even though I kind of have a little mixed feelings about her, Balin actually is a wise young lady. I feel like Balin definitely been through a lot in her life. So by reading this book, I already just had quotes that I really, really liked and enjoyed. So my first quote that I like about this young lady has said was, "If there's anything I've learned since my pa left, is that people think they know somebody, but it turns out nobody knows anybody at all." I really liked that quote. To say that she's a young lady and she's just a teenager, she's very wise. And that's what I learned about people. I learned that when people go through the most things, they are the most wise people in the room. And